I'm here with Dawn Gracie this afternoon. Hi, Dawn. Very nice to meet you at last. People will know your name around. Can you give us a little bit of a description about what it is you do?
Well, it depends on what rumours you've heard, really. But anyway, can I just say it's really nice to meet you at last as well. I think we've both heard of each other, but never actually met. So this is a real pleasure. So yes, well, Dawn Gracie is linked with, I think when people mention that, it's the vintage, known as sort of the vintage. Everyone's the something. You're the radio guy. I'm the vintage girl. So that's kind of a really good thing to be known as. My business is Dawn's Vintage Do, and it's the tagline is entertainment and experiences. So underneath that are lots of different sections, really.
Yes, and at the moment you're currently promoting the Vintage Weekender. Now, people might have heard of this, but give us a little bit of a rundown about what that is and the story behind it.
Okay, oh crumbs, how far do you want to go back? When I was 3, no. It's crumbs. This Weekender, which is, if you haven't heard, is October 5th to the 8th. It's on Hayling Island. It's a 3-evening immersive experience, residential, celebrating the 50s, 60s, and a feature era, the 20s. This, without going on too long about it, but this really is the culmination of all of my years of hard work in the vintage world, basically. It's been a dream of mine since 2010, and it's bringing together everything that I love about vintage and entertainment. So it's kind of for what I'm calling people who are day trippers. So you don't necessarily have to be a vintage lifestyler, sort of dressing vintage every day. It's for people who want to dip in and sort of really celebrate and just pick out the fun pieces of what they interpret. So you can expect everything from Hi-de-Hi, Dirty Dancing, including rehearsing the lift. We should totally do that now on camera. There's just a line that has to be drawn, is
Yes.
there? Yeah, okay. So Dirty Dancing, Hi-de-Hi, very much kitsch, tongue-in-cheek. But on a serious note, there's some excellent bands that will be happening, some workshops, including ukulele workshop, dance workshops, and it is for men and women. But I will admit, a lot of groups of women love to come for a weekend away. And but it's a great little sort of 3-nighter away, and not too far away. But we have got people coming from all over the world, dare I say, to come to this. So it's a real thrill.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because it's been such a long process. I mean, everybody, I should think, if they follow you on social media, will know the struggle of the first year and the struggle of the second year as well. So do you think this year has gone a little bit more smoothly?
Jamie, the struggle is real. The struggle is very real. So so a quick plotted history. 2016, I did my first Weekender. That was successful. I did a Kickstarter campaign, which is a crowdfunder, which I know you know about. That is a really hard thing to do. But it was to gain some funding, because it is only me with a little team. The first Weekender happened. It was almost everything I wanted it to be. I invested a lot of time, effort, and money in it. And it was at a holiday village. Am I allowed to say? It was at South Downs Holiday Village in Bracklesham. Went really well. People got it, understood it. And then everyone rebooked for the following year, 2017. And sadly, I got a message to say that the property, the building, everything had been sold for redevelopment, which is, you might have seen my picture in the newspaper looking all sad and like, oh. It was devastating. So I'm not making light of it. It was really devastating. And so I knew then that I had to keep momentum going. So I made it an all-dayer, because I'd booked the Jive Aces and lots of bands. And at that point booked my venue for 2018, which back in 2016 sounded like it was a long way away.
Yes.
Now it's not, and it's upon us. It's quite... I literally can't wait, because it's going to be... If I saw this event advertised, I would do everything to be there, because it is right up my street. It's going to be fun. People really bond as well. I've even set up a buddy scheme. Mm-hmm. Do you want to know what a buddy scheme is?
Yes.
Good, I'm so glad you asked, thank you. A buddy scheme is, if you, like myself, my husband is not into vintage at all. In fact, hardly any of my family are. So to go to an event that you really want to go to, but you need to go on your own, is quite a thing. So I've set up a buddy scheme whereby you can let me know if you're booking as a solo visitor, and I will buddy you up with a group of people who are also in the same situation, because I want it to be inclusive to people who just want to get away and who want to, just because there's no one to come with. And there's nothing worse than dragging someone along who's not really into it. I stopped doing that with my husband years ago, and so I just kind of think, surround yourself with your own crowd, and that's basically what it will be.
And it's a great system. And if anyone wanted to find out more about the Vintage Weekender,
Yes.
where would they need to go?
My website, which is dawnsvintagedo.com, or if you Google Dawn Gracie, you'll find me. You'll find my website. Well, look at page 3, and then you'll be fine.
Yes.
Yes.
I think before we close, I'd have to ask you about the Cabaret Club
Yes.
in Chichester, because it's an interesting thing. It's something that a lot of people might have heard about, but may not have necessarily seen. So
Yes.
tell us about that.
Okay, I've created an underground movement in Chichester, because before I moved to Chichester, I lived in Brighton, and I viewed Chichester as a place where nothing happens, a place of... It just didn't have any appeal to me. There was no nightclub here. Well, I didn't realise there was, and now there's not again. And I've spent 8 years pre-vintage life in a amateur rock band, doing the pubs and everything. And I know what is on offer and what isn't on offer. And what Chichester didn't have before I came along was an alternative place of entertainment. So I spent a few years trialling venues, trialling different styles of shows, and in January 2016 decided, I know, I'm going to give Chichester its very own cabaret club. So basically it's held every other month. It's an evening show. Curtain is down at sort of like 10:30, 11, so it's not too late of a night because it's city centre. And it's if you don't know what cabaret is, it's a variety show. I was brought up on Morecambe and Wise, Larry Grayson, Kenny Everett. I love all that sort of ridiculous entertainment.
Too.
Good. So the entertainment, the lineup is always different, and it ranges from musicians, comedians, burlesque performers, everything that I can get in there. And I also give it as a platform for performers who are wanting to have an audience as well. So some of my own students, because I teach women's burlesque body confidence, if anyone needs an audience, then I have 150 people who gather in the Palance Suite every other month wanting to see different sorts of entertainment. So if you have a special, maybe do you have a special skill?
Do I have? Well, I'm a
spoons
musician myself.
or-
Nothing really, nothing.
You are a musician,
Yes.
yes. Well, so if you wanted to have an audience and trial something, I tell you what, my audiences come from mainly Chichester, but they come from Brighton, Southampton, because they're kind of intrigued. They're what I call cabaret curious. They're like, what is all this about that's happening in Chichester? And it is grown-ups entertainment, so it's obviously not for children. And, you know, there is fruity language involved, and I even have got my own hashtag now, hashtag don't tell the mayor. Because I really hope everyone tells the mayor, and I hope he comes along one day. And it is, I've gifted Chichester a place to come for alternative entertainment that you have to otherwise go to Brighton, Portsmouth, London. And so Chichester is on the map, whether it wants to be or not. It has caused a little bit of controversy because some people are like, oh, that's in Chichester. Yeah. But yes, in Chichester it should. It should. So when someone builds me a big building and you and I can run this multi-art centre that can be a theatre, it can be a club, it can be space for workshops. This is what Chichester lacks so badly, and I just wish a millionaire would find me and say, Dawn, I'd like to give you £1 million. Please go and set up this centre where you can run your club. Yeah.
Well, there's still time.
There's still time.
There is still time. I mean, you know, considering you started this, 8-10 years ago, doing this sort of thing, the amount of strides that you've taken since then have been absolutely enormous.
I know.
Every year I see something different. Do you ever find yourself getting a bit carried away with things?
Always, and you should. You should absolutely get carried away. And, I have, believe it or not, I do this great big thing called mind mapping. And there's a ridiculous list of, in my dreams, don't get me started on singing The Greatest Showman soundtrack either. In my dreams, a list of things that could happen. And in that is Chichester's very own multi-purpose venue, a theatre that people are allowed to hire, a place where theatre groups can have workshops, where bands can come and rehearse, but also can be used, so yes, I have a ridiculous, and do I get carried away? Yes, all the time. And then I have a lovely team around me who say, right, what don't you want to do on that list? But do you know what the lovely thing about Weekender is? I've hired the place, I'm going to do whatever I want. Do you know the most ridiculous thing that we're doing that weekend?
What's that?
There's an indoor swimming pool. And do you remember the film Dirty Dancing, where they're doing the lift? We're going to do that. We're going to have all these people doing the lift in the pool. And I want to see you there in your trunks. We need to do that. We need to make that a reality.
Yeah. Cut. Yeah. So the Weekender, when is that
That's
on?
October 5th to the 8th of this year. And I'm booking the venue for next year and 2020 as well, because, we're nearly back in the 20s.
We are.
Can you believe that? Nearly back in the 20s. And so that is going to be a huge celebration. Of course, this year started the celebration of women getting the vote and the whole 20s movement thing. So I'm working to that as well. And I might even have, because each Weekender is the 50s and 60s, but there's a feature era, this year being the 20s, the Gatsby Party. But I'm thinking, I know maybe next year I have an 80s day. And then 2020 have a 20s day, or I don't know, even the 90s. That's even becoming vintage. Can you believe that?
Well, yes,
You're far too young, but I remember that. I remember the 90s.
Well, yes, me too. Well, there we are. So that's all to come, and
Yes.
I'm sure you're on Facebook and everything, so people can
Yes.
catch up
Dawn's
with you.
Vintage Do, or Dawn Gracie. I'm a real person on Facebook. And I also do vlogging and writing for Vintage Life magazine, so you can find me there. I do vlogging for them. As you've gathered, I quite like talking. But, I think I think enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm, and I think there's not enough of it. And Chichester has certainly had an injection of enthusiasm. And I can tell you something, just talking about Chichester, it needs people to do different things in the arts here, because this city is a hive of culture, of all sorts of things happening, but it just doesn't seem to be on display. So I've never been afraid to put my head above the pulpit and say, hello, we're here. And we are here, most definitely. So I hope to see you at a cabaret club, and I promise not to pick on you.
Well, I'll have to remember that. So thank you so much for coming on today. It's been great to meet you at last, and good luck with everything. Thank you as well, personally, from, I'm sure, many people in Chai, for injecting some enthusiasm into the arts, because I've tried and failed in some cases. Some other people have tried. You've succeeded. So
honestly, it's taken quite a long time to get there, and as with you, I mean, things are blooming for you as well, and I think it just takes a lot of guts and determination, and I think the more you put this out into the universe of what you're, and every now and then on Facebook I put out a thing saying, dear millionaire, please find me, I'd like you to build me a building and let me run this venue. One day, you never know.
Nope.
I put lots of wishes out on Facebook, Vintage Life magazine being one of them, and it's taken a long time, but it's finally happened. So, yeah. Before I become vintage myself, I'd like it all to happen.
And it will, I'm sure.
It will.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.